We begin with the indictment of President Biden's son, Hunter. The 53-year-old Biden was indicted Thursday on 3 federal gun charges, alleging he made false statements and unlawfully possessed a firearm. The alleged incidents occurred in 2018 when Biden admitted he was addicted to crack cocaine. Catherine Herridge has more.
The 3 felony counts Hunter Biden faces stem from his possession of a handgun in October 2018, identified in court records as a Colt Cobra 38 Special revolver. The president's son is accused of making a false and fictitious statement about his drug use on a federal gun form and to a firearms dealer. The 3rd count alleges he did knowingly possess a firearm while on drugs. Tom Dupree is a former senior Justice Department official.
How serious are the charges?
These are all charges that carry fairly significant potential jail terms.
The president's son had previously reached an agreement on the charge of gun possession that avoided prosecution if he had abided by the terms for 2 years. But that deal, which included misdemeanor tax charges, collapsed. His lawyer insisted today the gun agreement remains valid, saying the evidence has not changed, but the law has, and so has MAGA Republicans' improper and partisan interference in this process. A senior House Republican who is at the center of the newly announced impeachment inquiry into the president said the charges fell short.
This is the one crime he committed that you can't tie Joe Biden into.
Hunter Biden has openly admitted his past struggle with addiction, as he told CBS Sunday Morning.
I went one time for 13 days without sleeping and smoking crack and drinking vodka exclusively throughout that entire time.
Mr. President!
And while the president had no comment about his son today, he has long defended him.
First of all, my son's done nothing wrong. I trust him. I have faith in him.
But Hunter Biden could still face more charges for alleged tax violations.
Today's news about this indictment being filed, unfortunately for Hunter Biden, it's probably the first chapter in what could be a long book.
And Catherine Herridge joins us now. So, Catherine, what does it look like, the timeline for the arraignment and trial on these charges?
Well, John, no date has been set for the arraignment, but this should unfold like the hundreds of other felony gun possession cases that are brought in this country every year. There will be an arraignment. He'll enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. Then we would have bail. And under the speedy trial rules, he could be in the courtroom in 60 days, but typically in these cases, they waive that right.
And one thing that might affect the timing, I would gather, is Abby Lowell, his lawyer, Hunter Biden's lawyer, saying that the previous agreement still is in effect. What's the likelihood that the previous agreement in which Hunter Biden would not have these kinds of charges, what's the chance that holds up or that argument wins the day?
Well, they've been litigating that argument since the plea deal fell apart on July 26th. And based on the indictment today, the government has shut the door firmly shut on their belief that this gun agreement was still valid. Abby Lowell, Hunter Biden's attorney, can litigate that. But I think the issue, John, that's the most likely avenue for success is this very live constitutional question over whether it is unconstitutional to bar someone who is a drug user from possessing a weapon. So we have a scenario where this issue that may likely land in the Supreme Court, Hunter Biden could be sort of the poster case for it.
Wow, fascinating. And let me, before I let you go, Catherine, the other issue, or at least one of the other live issues, we don't know what else the special counsel's looking into, though, is this question of the tax violations. Where does that all stand?
Well, based on the court filings, the special counsel, David Weiss, has already indicated that the proper venue for tax charges would not be Delaware, but it would be either California, which is where Hunter Biden currently lives, or here in Washington, D.C., where he had tax advice and some of the filings were made. The IRS whistleblowers who first spoke to CBS News said they believe the evidence supports more serious felony tax charges. The original agreement was just for misdemeanor tax charges, but whatever happens, David Weiss has to start afresh and bring all of the evidence in front of a grand jury to hand up charges.
Catherine Herridge for us in Washington. Thank you, Catherine.
You're welcome.